Asta is not the chosen one. Asta is the unchosen one in Black Clover. Literally unchosen by the God of Fate, as stated by Vanessa. I bet the God of Fate gave you no magic because of precisely who you are. This means that Asta has to be of some sort of importance in the story. Vanessa was the bearer of the Red Thread of Fate, the daughter of the Witch Queen who has vast knowledge of the world in Black Clover, and she implies that a God of Fate gave Asta no magic because of his willpower and determination, and that if he actually had mana, he would be far more powerful. So, I want to go over how Asta being unchosen has directly made him an extremely relevant character in the Black Clover world, and how the God of Fate playing with Fate itself has likely created a much bigger problem. His willpower being paired with a high-ranking devil, anti-magic, and the relics of the Elven Chieftain. And of course, answer in full why our fantastical boy wonder has no mana. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And yes, I'm doing videos now more often than I was in the last month or two. It's because I just have a bit more time now. But yeah, so thanks for all the support. The last Magicula video did really well, so I really appreciate that. But if you guys do enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as turn on notifications. You can follow my Twitter link down below. And also, don't forget to check my website down below in the description called 9fates.com. It is where I release my light novel series weekly. With that being said, let's get into this video. The full story of why Asta has no magic. Asta was born without mana, but he wanted to become the Wizard King, so he grew incredibly strong by training his body physically. Now, he has progressed to that of a power that has surpassed even past Wizard Kings, as he easily slayed an ancient demon and has defeated supreme level devils on the Qlipoth tree. While a lot of people wonder why he was born with no magic, it really does seem to be a long explanation. But it really does start from a quote from his teammate, Vanessa Inoteca, a quote that is often overlooked by anybody in the fandom. I bet the God of Fate gave you no magic, precisely because of who you are. When you pair the quote with Vanessa's backstory, the context of the battle, it actually explains the first breadcrumb as to why Asta was born with no magic. Asta had just gone through a stir of emotions in this battle, having just impaled Vetto with the Demon Dweller's sword, thinking to have finally won. But he was wrong. Vetto grabbed at Asta's arms, crushing them and filling them with cursed energy. Asta would not be able to use his arms anymore, and would also lose one of his swords. Instead of giving up, Asta screams, "Not yet," and pushes forward through the pain. This causes Vanessa to think to herself, this boy is not normal. Magic is everything in our world, and he was born with none. But this child, I am sure he'll go far in this world. I have to let him fight. I have to guide him. I'll pull his broken arms with threads. I'll help them move. I bet the God of Fate gave him no magic, precisely because he is who he is. This means she is in fact implying that the God of Fate forced Asta to have no magic because of his determination and willpower to never give up. Even if he was gifted a shitty magic type with low mana, pair that with his amazing physical might, he would constantly push himself past his limits. Probably learn Mana Skin, Mana Zone, Ultimate Magic, True Magic, all of that. And he'd be incredibly powerful. Now I want to go over the God of Fate and discuss what or who they might be. Because Tabata takes so much from Norse mythology, I can research the myths and try to determine what might happen here. In the Norse myths, there are goddesses of fate called Norns. They are witches who use threads to manipulate fate. They are essentially the most powerful gods because everything is bound by those threads that they use, even the Allfather, Odin. Now it's important to bring these beings up because they are witches using threads to manipulate fate. Vanessa is a witch using thread to manipulate fate. Thus, she fits the archetype of a Norn. Also, she is the daughter of the Witch Queen, was raised by her, and should know a lot about the world because of that, because the Witch Queen knows a lot. This is why Vanessa brings up the God of Fate in relation to Asta, but this brings to question, why did the God of Fate make it so that Asta has no magic? Sure, he would have been unstoppable with his sheer willpower and determination, but what would he do? Well, you see, the God of Fate is probably controlling everything, or the majority of everything. This means that they are pulling the strings so that the Clover Society is not a good one. If Asta just had magic, purely, it'd be far easier for him to become the Wizard King. He would have no devil ties and actually have mana, and with his hard-working nature, in an alternate timeline where he does have magic, he completely changes society. No more peasants, commoners, nobles, and royals, but a society based on everyone being equal. The God of Fate probably acted similarly in the past, pulling Zegred's string to ruin Licht and Lumiere's plans of creating an equal society between elves and humanity. So, the God of Fate uses their threats to manipulate Asta's destiny. This is also backed up by the themes of the story itself, as part of Asta's journey is a battle against fate itself, one that he will never give up on fighting. I'll go more detail on that aspect in a later portion of this theory, but it is important to note that the God of Fate didn't just go poof and erase Asta's magic. That is not how fate magic works. Fate magic works by manipulating events with threads to create a certain outcome. So, the God of Fate caused Asta's mother, Lasita, to be cursed by Magicula. If you are a longtime viewer, then you know why I say this. Henry is cursed, as confirmed by Gordon's dad, Nathan. And Henry steals mana from other people, and there's some evidence that he steals life energy as well, since his parents were concerned that they'd die in his presence. But Lasita's weird ability is also stealing mana and then life energy from others. Because of the similarities between the two, and Magicula being the devil of curses, it seems that the God of Fate pulled the strings to make Magicula curse Lasita. This is the likely cause for Asta being born without mana, as his own mother would sap the energy from him. This means that it was either the God of Fate trying to kill Asta with Lasita's curse, or when it turned out he was born anyways but survived the birth and didn't have magic, the God of Fate didn't really care, because he survived but he has no mana. So he has no viable future, no future where he changes the Clover Society into a good one without caste structures. And so, the God of Fate for a certain amount of time changed their view away from Asta after he was abandoned at the church with no hope for a great future. But here's the thing, this changed everything. Asta losing his mana and being abandoned at the church caused for Lasita to be there for Libe when he was launched into the human world. If Lasita has Asta, Libe never gets cared for. Either he dies to the Magic Knights, or gets taken over by Lucifero, and the human world is screwed. But because of the intervention by the God of Fate, they only further ensured the original fate of Asta as the pariah of humanity. Because Asta was not around, and because she was cursed, Lasita found Libe and saved him. She raised him for a while, before ultimately saving him again by sealing him inside of the Fifth Leaf Clover Grimoire. Just so years later, her two sons, Asta and Libe, could be reunited within the Fifth Leaf Clover Grimoire, and that would choose Asta when he was 15. Eventually, Libe and Asta would fight. With Asta winning, they would perform an equal contract between each other, and with further training, it allowed them to do Devil Union. And now, despite not even reaching full potential, they defeated an ancient demon in front of the entire kingdom. Nobles and royals failed to stop the ancient demon in front of everybody, but a peasant with no magic using devil power did. Then he went on to defeat 2 Qliphoth devils, with probably more to come that he's going to defeat. This means that Asta is an unchosen one. Fate robbed him of his magic in an attempt to stop him becoming the one that could change the Clover Kingdom society. Now, he's going to do the same thing in an entirely different way. So this is my theory on why Asta has no magic. The God of Fate saw his unmatched willpower, tenacity, and determination, so they pulled the strings to curse his mother so that he would either die in the womb or live a magicless life. But this only allowed for Libe to be raised by Lasita and then bridged them together as brothers to forge the ultimate devil union. Now I talked about fate earlier. Remember when Lasita finds Libe? And it's weird because she absorbs mana and life energy, but because he has no mana, she doesn't absorb it from him. And because he's a devil, she doesn't absorb life energy from him, which means it's like they're normal together. She said, this feels like fate, doesn't it? Interesting, because it's only because of the God of Fate probably allowing Lasita to be cursed, or allowing Lasita to abandon Asta at the church, that this even happened. This feels like fate, doesn't it? It's because literally the God of Fate caused this to happen by changing Asta's fate. Then, when Asta defeats Libe, and Asta wants to form an equal contract with Libe, he's like, wow, this really is Lasita's son. I don't know if I believe in destiny, which destiny and fate kind of interchangeable, but you see that, and they both bring up fate. There is so many mentions of fate in Black Clover, especially when it comes to bringing in Asta. Asta even talks about his own fate, that he's not going to give up fighting against fate. He's like, screw you, fate, with his arms being cursed. Fate has been going against Asta even since before he was born by likely causing Lasita to be cursed. So, this is why Asta has no magic, the full story, my theory on why he has no magic, because I think this puts together in a nice bow of why and how this happened. You have the God of Fate, you have probably Magicula's Curse, and you combine those two, and that leads to a magicless Asta. Asta is not the chosen one, he's the unchosen one, literally unchosen by fate, but thus causing him to get to this level of power to where he's going to change the Clover Kingdom society in a probably very different way. So, I really like that Tabata had put in that comment from Vanessa many chapters ago. I believe that was chapter 71, where it says that I bet the God of Fate gave him no magic. I think a lot of people just read that line as just some random person talking about some god that probably isn't real, but if Vanessa eventually has fate magic, she's the archetype of Norn. Norn was raised by the Witch Queen. She has valid knowledge of the world. And we know that devils are also referred to as gods. Lucifero, one of his spells refers to him as a god. He is like the devil of gravity. And then each devil has their own element that they lord over, that they're parent of. So the devils are like evil gods. And when we talk about anti-magic, it might be useful against Fate. That Fate tried to destroy Asta, but in turn, Asta became the ultimate weapon against Fate. This is because when Rouge is first created, with the Red Thread of Fate cat, by Vanessa, if you look at it, when it goes against Asta and the anti-magic, every time it touches him to manipulate Fate, it is always touching him where anti-magic is not present, where his regular skin is there, not the black form. And when Asta tries to swipe the Demon Slayer sword at Rouge, Rouge unravels itself to dodge it, meaning that the anti-magic can harm Fate. Again, this goes into one of my previous theories, kind of, where I do think that there is a Fate Devil, or a God of Fate, that would be the final villain of Black Clover. Because guys, if you have a God of Fate, if there is Fate, you cannot have free will, because they're controlling everything. So, Asta, with anti-magic, having a possible Norn on his side, in Vanessa, that would be really interesting for them to go against the God of Fate. Now imagine how strong this character would be. I talked about this in the other videos, but again, you've seen Vanessa, who does not have a great amount of magic amount, with a single Fate spell. Imagine a god or a devil with that much mana, where Fate is their magic. They would have many spells, ranging from at the same level as Rouge, to much better than Rouge, with far more mana. They would be an unstoppable foe that would work as a good final villain that's been built up since the very beginning of the series, because Fate as a theme, turning to Fate as a character, would be interesting for Black Clover. With that being said, let me know your guys' thoughts of this video down below. If you guys do enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...